Okay, guys. So this is the final section of my examination of the way that you can teach kata to get a lot more value from it. Now, as I've said in the preceding sections, it's not simply about teaching one mega lesson where you try and apply every single one of these 20 or 30 principles I've given you into a single lesson. That would be completely ridiculous. What you need to do is to isolate these into individual lessons, or maybe a couple of them into a lesson, so that you can get your students focusing on different parts. And much as once in a blue moon we like a kata lesson that takes up an hour or so just focusing on kata. Most people tend to get pretty bored if you just do kata for hours and hours and end. So really don't do it. As good as it might make you feel to show off all of your deep knowledge about kata, it's not the optimal way to teach your students. So just don't do it. So in this section I'm going to be talking about kata teaching as it applies to competition. Now, everything in the preceding sections also applies to this. These are just a few further competition specifics that you may wish to teach. So the first of these is the idea of drama, and drama is exemplified in the duration of the pauses, the intensity of your focus, the power of your ki-eyes, the contrast between fast and slow moves. So one way to do it might be to say, go through the kata as fast as you possibly can, then go through the kata really, really slowly and gently, and then to bring them together so that you have a good contrast. And what you'll say to people is, make your fast moves as fast and snappy and light as they possibly can be when they're powerful. I want to see the muscles tense, causing in every single part that's supposed to be tensed up to show the power that you're doing. Generally speaking, when you have a slow move in a kata, and these have really just become the timings and the counts and the slowness and the fastness have really just become customary. There's no hard and fast rules, but generally speaking, when you see a slow move in a kata, it denotes either that there's a lot of detail there in that particular section, or more likely that it's a move that needs to be very powerful. So if it's powerful, make it powerful. I mean, I'm exaggerating, this is not a slow mover, but here, lots of power. Just show off the power as you do it. Take your time with it, and then you can have drama just in the way that your kill face. You can be really. You can see the deadly intent in the person. Probably look like some kind of idiot there, but in a correct context, that death stare that you're giving somebody, that I really mean to take your flipping head off here, and that can be a very, very powerful addition to your performance repertoire. And we are talking with tournament about performance as opposed to realism. That what we're doing here is now we're creating an aesthetic product to be judged by referees, and so the criteria for judging are not necessarily the same as they would be for practice for realism. So you need to understand that. So other things that can give drama is we don't do it much, but I know within Goju, for example, they have ibuki breathing, and I'm not saying that is done for drama. Ibuki breathing, if you're not familiar with it, is really deep breathing from the torso. Now, I have heard it said that ibuki breathing is also to do with muscle control and massaging your organs in your core and things like that. I don't know if that's true, but it's consistent with the idea of Sanshin Kata. That's certainly for sure. Although you don't have to go quite as far as ibuki breathing, you can certainly make a point of revealing your breathing as you perform your kata. Another way that you can give drama to your kata is that not just in the contrast but in the sequencing. Now, sequencing is when you take moves which you consider fit together and sequence them so that they're faster, and then you have maybe a long pause. So let me give you an example. In Basai Dai, where you go from here and then you turn, you do 1 block, 2 block, 3 block, 4 blocks. You could consider that a sequence of 4. They might not be blocks, there could be a haymaker strike and an inside strike, an arm block, or it could be a throw, But whatever, whatever bunkai you're using, express that through the sequencing of your kata. A really common sequence, for example, is the sequence of three punches in Taikyoku Shodan first kata, or 3 shutos in Basai Dai. And it's quite common to see the timing of those be 1, 2, 3. So you accelerate as you take those steps. Now, I personally find it quite hard to maintain my posture as I do that, and I'm never very happy in Zenkutsu that, so I'm locking my back leg out fully. But obviously, if that was a priority for me, then I'd focus on that, And if you're a tournament competitor, you might want to express yourself like that. And I'm using the word expression as well, and I will be coming on to that. But sequencing is a great way to add dynamism and dramatic pause to your kata. So 1, 2, 3, stop. Perfect posture, perfect silence. Now into the next sequence, so the next engagement, if you like. Obviously, a kata is not a continuous fight against a series of opponents. It's just a series of little groups of fights, if you like, practicing a fight, an engagement. Then practicing another engagement. We're not pretending that we're in one long fight with lots of people, and so having a good dramatic pause between the different engagements kind of emphasises that, I guess, and it also emphasises that you've thought about the bunkai. And a really good way to work on your sequencing is to study the way that other people, not just in your style but in other styles, perform the kata. You can often learn a lot by seeing the way that others perform it, and it might even give you some ideas that feed back into your bunkai. Another thing I guess is obviously if you're practicing for tournament, then occasionally you're going to want to get your students to perform in a tournament type environment where they're scored, and you can just get other students to score them, or if you're fortunate enough to have enough senseis, you can get them to score, senseis and senpais, and that just brings out a whole another level in terms of their need to be to concentrate. And you can talk about tournament dynamics, you can talk about how you'd enter and exit the ring, you can talk about focus, you can talk about how to deal with mistakes in tournament, you can talk about the dynamics of ringcraft in tournament, and even whether you bow before you come in, whether you should leap up and immediately do it, or whether you should kind of take your time a bit and show composure there, and how you enter the ring, what the bowing sequence is, stuff like that. There's a whole wider field there that you can teach your students just by having mini tournaments, and since GKR My Style has now taken on this idea of WKF rules, where you have 2 kata competitors side by side. I gave that little try last week, and that seemed really beneficial. The students seemed to quite like it, and basically you have 2 competitors doing their own kata, whatever choice, within a specified range, next to each other. And then you score whichever one you just thought was the best. Not you don't give them an absolute score. You just say this side or that side, and that just adds a new dimension. And keeps it interesting as well. I guess I was talking earlier on also about in the contrast section and in the basic section about speed and explosiveness, and something that gives great drama to your kata is your ability to move from a dead stop into a very, very fast move very quickly, especially if it's stepping through as well. And explosiveness is impossible unless you have relaxation, but explosiveness really, really is the X factor between a good kata and an excellent kata. That if you watch any world champion, they're not just fast, but they're explosive as well. And to become explosive, you must be relaxed before you explode into whatever technique you're going. Explodes, moving suddenly, moving quickly with purpose. And again, the exercise that I talked about, I think in one of the sections where we had the idea of relax, tense, relax, where you throw your techniques out very, very quickly, with full relaxation, tense momentarily as a technique arrives, and then relax again instantly. And that's also an excellent an excellent idea to apply to tournament kata, and it's a set of exercises that you can go through. And I guess then the final section that I'm going to talk about here is a session on expressiveness. Now, in my experience, and I may be vastly overgeneralizing here, but in my experience, Shotokan style katas tend to be less expressive than the Goju katas. They tend to be very clinical and very technical and very linear generally, and they can be fast and explosive, but they're not expressive. And by expressive I mean there's room for artistic interpretation in how you perform the kata. So the Goju katas tend to be more circular. Again, I'm generalising on the spur of the moment here, so forgive me if I'm way off base here, but it doesn't matter to the point anyway. But in my experience, the Goju katas tend to be more circular, more flowing, more off on angles, and Shotokan katas tend to be more linear, more direct, more explosive, and they tend to lend themselves well to fit young people who can move quickly. In Goju katas, there's a bit more room for all types there. But expressiveness could be how for example, this may be a shuto, but you may do a shuto with the wrist slightly bent, or you may flow into it a bit more, and it's almost like the artistic content of your kata. And all other things being equal, a beautifully expressive kata will be far more enjoyable to watch and probably to perform as well. I really love Kurunfa because I find that a very open kata for expression. I really like to express, I guess, the soft side of karate, in that, Goju, hard, soft, and I really like, there are lots of opinions about where the Go and the Ju are. Is it hard and soft techniques? Is it physically unyielding and then compliant? Is it uncompromising honour and gentleness towards it? There's lots of different things that you could take from that. It's just a yin and yang kind of polar opposites kind of idea. So in kata, I really like the softness. It just enables me to have a bit of artistic expression in what I'm doing. I love I do love the Goju katas more than the Shotokan ones, I must admit, but that's not to say that I don't like just really getting in there and being kind of direct and forceful sometimes, but I just like the Goju philosophy more personally. That's not to put down Shotokan. I just kind of feel that Goju kind of suits my temperament and my desires for karate better. But that's the beauty of a style that mixes Goju and Shotokan. It's not really Shotokan, Shutokan, but that mixes those two styles. That there's something for everyone. So anyway, that being said, expressiveness, how you settle, how you move, how you breathe, really how you move your hands, how you move your arms, has a big part to do with expressiveness. I think it is often more upper body, but also thinking about Kurunfa, for example, the way that you raise your leg for your side kick and then deliver that side kick, you raise very gracefully and then powerfully snap that kick down, for example. Or you could be a lot more vanilla and a lot less contrast, and then it becomes almost Shotokan like. Anyway, guys, lots of ideas there. I hope that you haven't been bored. They're as good for you to practice as they are for you to teach. So whether you're a student or a sensei, I hope that you've got something out of this series. You take care now. Hey guys, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please take the time to rate and comment, and it would mean a lot to me if you would subscribe. Thank you.